Courage and fear are not mutually exclusive. I love that sentiment so much because most of us
Yeah.
feel brave and afraid at the same exact time. And there's not
Yeah.
really a single act of courage that doesn't require vulnerability first.
Giving yourself the opportunity to be scared and fearful of what's happening next is like the greatest gift you can give yourself, right? If you're somebody who can fail fast, consider yourself blessed.
Welcome back to The Story Project, the podcast for women in dentistry who are building something, becoming something, and refusing to let the story stop there. Today's guest, Dr. Tara Aboumahboub, is a cosmetic and functional dentist passionate about where beauty meets wellness. She blends advanced dentistry with a whole body wellness focused approach, combining artistry, science, and education to create natural, refined smiles while helping patients look, feel, and function at their best for long-term health. I'm so excited for you guys to check out this episode with Dr. Tara. Hey guys, well, welcome to the Story Project podcast and welcome, Dr. Tara. I'm so happy that you're here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, before we do a deep dive into your story in the heart of this conversation, we're going to run through a few quick kind of rapid fire questions just to let our audience of women get to know you a little bit better. Okay.
Sure.
So, what is your favorite home remedy?
This is so simple. Just warm salt water. I think warm salt water fixes everything. Like whether it's taking a bath or like if you have anything going on in your mouth, if you feel like you're getting sick, if you feel like you just need to rinse out, warm salt water every time.
Okay. I need to actually do that
Random.
more often. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite fashion accessory?
Honestly, personality. I think you can put on whatever you want. If your personality makes it feel wow, then it's going to be wow.
Which food item is guaranteed to be stocked in your fridge or your pantry?
Mm, we always have seasonal fruits in our house. So, like, if it's pomegranate season, if it's dragon fruit season, we just any fruits.
Awesome. Mine is banana. I just
Yeah.
have to have one in my protein shake.
Yes, we have bananas always. That's a good one too, actually. Yeah, tropical fruits. We have a lot of
Yeah.
tropical fruits in the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite sleeping position?
Oh, my favorite is on my side with my dog on my neck. She's like a tiny one. She's literally sitting in my lap as we speak because I
Oh,
can't do any Zoom calls without her in my lap. And then just cuddled up like with my husband, like just cuddled. Yeah.
yeah. Does that ever like with the dog? Because I our someone on our team recently was sharing that their cat sleeps right on him, and I'm like the whole night. So do you like when you move around? Does your dog get up or
She adapts. Usually it's like the first 15 minutes and then she gets hot. And then she'll just move to like the top of my head. I would say like half my camera roll is like her in weird positions in the bed. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, when I first met my husband, he was like, "What is this little white dog doing in your bed?" And now he's used to it too. But yeah, she just kind of like adapts to wherever I move, and I don't move a lot at nighttime. So probably the reason why I even wake up is if she readjusts or something, but
okay?
starts on the neck, moves around, and then ends up back in the neck in the morning.
That probably means you're sleeping well if you're not moving around. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a whole routine for it.
All right. What's the best decision you've ever made?
Best decision, my life partner. Marrying my husband has been probably the best decision I've ever made. Choosing a life partner is really hard to do, but when you find somebody who helps move things forward, believes in what you're doing, and values you as an individual, I mean, accelerates your success for sure.
That's awesome. How long have you guys been together?
We've been together for 8 years now.
Oh,
Yeah, 8 years.
okay.
We haven't even been married a year yet, but yeah, we just because of school and training and
Yeah.
all the things. But yeah, 8 years,
Well,
almost nine.
I follow you. You guys are like the cutest couple. Like, wow,
Oh,
adorable.
thanks. Thanks. Yeah, he's a good man.
Okay, so that was fun. I have a new segment in every episode where my guest tells one funny or wild, just completely crazy story. And I heard a rumor, something about a snake. So I think I already know where this is going to go. So tell us about the snake.
So I have an older brother, and he's like the coolest person I know. And when he was younger, he's like very, and in general, like he's just got this very opposite of me, rebellious personality. He like always had these like animals in the house, which like my parents never liked, but it was like, he had this massive fish tank and then like a bunch of other little tanks and all these things. Like we would never go in his room because he was very private. And like one day he was getting ready to go to college and he comes into my room and he's like, "Hey, I gotta ask you for a favor." And I'm like the little sister, I'm like honored. I'm like, wow, my brother wants to talk to me. And so he hands me this book and it says like how to take care of um a boa constrictor. And I was like, why do I need this book? And he's like, or I guess it's a ball python. And I was like, why do I need this book? And he like pulls his hand around and there's like a snake wrapped around his arm. And I was like, is this yours? Like, what? How has it been in our house? So anyway, long story short, he like trains me on how to like take care of this thing and he's like, you can't tell mom. And I was like, how am I going to do this? So anyway, I end up telling my mom because I couldn't even drive yet. Or like maybe I was like 16 or 17. And so I convinced my mom to take me to the pet shop because you have to like hand this might be a little descriptive, so I really apologize to anyone who's like squirmy, but you have to like hand feed snakes because if they if you like drop it in there and like if it's alive or whatever and the snake rejects it, the rodent or whatever you're feeding it can eat the snake. It's
Oh,
like a whole thing. So, anyways, I got scared because the ball python, she like comes up, it becomes very like predatory, like you can tell when they're like angry. So the snake comes up and I'm like, okay, so I just wait and it's supposed to like take it and it doesn't take it. It goes and drops it. And so I'm
oh,
like, oh my God, what do I do? I have to stick my hand back in here. And like, had I been smart, I would have put like a glove on or something like that. And I didn't. I stuck my hand back in there and the snake came out and just like grabbed onto my fan, like my finger, my hand, like right here. And I was like, I didn't know what to do, but I knew that if you pulled, that the fangs of the snake can like
oh,
slice you.
oh
So
God.
I'm like standing there and I'm like, oh my God, is it gonna let go? And then she let go and like their fangs are the real deal. Like yes, they constrict, and I was glad she didn't like wrap around me. But yeah, so that was the time I got bit by a snake. We eventually like worked it out. She and I became friends, but
You and the
it was
snake?
not fun.
You and the
Like
snake became
friendly,
friends?
like we like, I mean, I still am convinced that like I would see her like line herself up. Like she was sizing herself up for like my dog or my brother's cat. Like it was disaster. But yeah, so she survived under my care for a year and then I was like, I am done. So
Wow,
yeah.
that is a lot. Was this your younger brother or an older brother?
He's an older brother. So
Older.
like
Okay.
again, rebellious, like older brother, just like carefree. I'm like type A, very like calculated. It was such a disaster.
A boa
Yeah.
constrictor, yeah. Wow. Well, thankfully your hand is okay and you
Yeah, I'm a dentist, so I do
you're
need
right.
these.
They come in handy, right? Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, that was fun for sure. I'm gonna tell my daughter that later because that is quite a story. I love
Yeah.
that he gave you a book like here you need to like figure this
Yeah,
out. Learn how
literally
to,
hands me a book
yeah.
and then leaves for college the next day. And I was like, are you kidding?
Well, right.
So bad.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So take me back a little bit before dentistry. Like, who were you? I want to hear about like Tara the human. Where did you grow up and what were you actually drawn to before everything with dentistry began?
So I grew up in South Florida. I'm a South Florida born and raised. I'm actually a first generation American. So my parents are both Iranian. They moved to the States when they were like in their 20s and then had my brother and I in Florida. And so Grew up in South Florida. I was a total tomboy growing up. Like, again, having an older brother, I just wanted to run around, be in the dirt. My parents were really good about like making like outside and nature part of our lives. We were always in the pool, playing sports. I played soccer my whole life, which I really do think team sports have in general kind of developed me as a person. But I also was a very artistic kid and very just creative. Like I loved being creative. I liked building things. I liked making things. And so I actually ended up going to an art school for my middle school and high school training, which like everyone is always confused about. Like, so did you take regular classes? And you basically have the same curriculum, but instead of having electives, you take whether it's art, whatever your art is. So like I went to school with like kids that, if you played an instrument, like the violinist was like one of the most popular people in our school. And it was like cool to be really interested in a craft. And so I think a lot of my creative mind and like my childhood was molded around that. And it also was like a 30-minute commute from home. And so I would take a train to school almost every single day. And I think it's what built me to become independent. It gave my parents, my parents were very conservative, very strict with me, but it gave me the opportunity to build my independence and kind of expand my ability to be open to things that scared me.
Wow.
So yeah, I had a great childhood. My parents really tried hard to make sure that I had a really fulfilled life, and we all have our ups and downs, but I'm very grateful for the way I grew up.
That's so cool. It reminds me, we have these like Montessori schools that are,
Mhm.
is it similar to that? Or,
I think Montessori schools are very cool. I wish I'd known more about that when I was younger, but kind of. I mean, like when you would go to school, it was like again, like the it was just such a different cultural feeling, like the environment that we were around. Like, yes, you were still taking like the maths and the sciences, and it's like still part of why I still went into dentistry was our science programs were really, really good. But it's like, I would take two theater classes that day, or I was in costume and scenic design. So like, the morning we'd be like cutting wood and drilling things and putting, parts of the set together. And then in the afternoon, I would go to like math class and whatever. And then my last class of the day would be like costume design. So textures and learning about fabrics and really
wow.
like honestly great life skills. Now that I think about it and looking back, I feel like I could be like a handyman around the house.
That never hurts.
Yeah,
That's
never
awesome.
hurts.
So then you studied biotechnology with a nutrition minor at Florida, which I found super interesting. So was your path into dental school unconventional? Where did you see yourself going with that major?
So I kind of knew when I was in high school that I was going to go into dentistry. So
Okay.
even though I was working a lot with my hands, I was again really into the sciences. And I had a family friend who was like, you kind of have this like mix of what you want to do. I had like some family in dentistry. My mom was a dental assistant like years and years ago. And so it was like kind of in the back of my head, but not really. And then I went into a dental office and like was like, wow, this is amazing. So when I entered into college, I was like, okay, well, most people do biology. At Florida, actually, a lot of people are nutritional majors that go into dentistry.
Oh.
Um, but at the time, my mom was sick, and so biotechnology is kind of based around research. That's like essentially what it ties into. And I was like, I want to be able to like read papers and understand like why and how and do the kind of unconventional route. Like it wasn't like I studied finance or anything, but just to have a variety of things. And I thought, well, if I don't get into dental school right away, what do I want to do with that? And nutrition always fascinated me too. It was like the combination of the two, like helped me put together more things and right, like what you eat, your body, the way things are, the research, like how to read research papers. So those two together crossed over really well, and it just it worked out. And I did end up working in a research lab for almost 3 years during college and then in the year before dental school. So
Okay.
it was a great introduction. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And then, so where did you land for dental school?
So I ended up going to Tufts up in Boston, which was like such an incredible opportunity. Like, what a great city. Boston is the best. If you ever have the opportunity and you're listening to this to live there, like the answer is yes. Just get a really good coat coming from a Florida girl. But you can survive through it and it's totally worth it. It's such a beautiful city.
Well, and Tufts is, I mean, isn't it one of the top dental schools in the nation?
I'd like to think so. I think clinically, like Tufts has it down and they've been around for so long and they adapt really well, especially recently. I feel like they're expanding and they've got the perfect hybrid of traditional dentistry and learning about, the basics as well as like adding technology into it. And really that was a big reason why I went there. I'd gotten into some Florida schools and all that, but I was like, maybe it's time. This is like the one opportunity I might have to get out, become a new person. And so, yeah, Tufts is a really great clinical school for sure. Expensive, but it's a good school.
I came across something in my research about mission work that you did in Jamaica. And I'd love to hear just what that experience involved for you. I know for me personally, missions has completely shaped my life. And I think mission trips are so, so fabulous for everybody to go on, whether it's dental or some other type of service type work. So how did you land in Jamaica?
So again, Tufts being a very strong clinical school and being very cohesive with diversity and stuff like that, they do a lot of different trips. And we have some now family friends, the Gollubs, who were heavily involved in going to Jamaica, had a lot of ties there. And Tufts would team up with the University of Michigan, actually, their dental school. And so they would go out to Jamaica every single year, always around like January time. And the second I heard about it, I'm like, I had such fond memories as a kid in Jamaica. And I remember thinking like the spirit of Jamaicans is just so pure.
Mm.
And they're like, just like life is just so much more like valuable there. Like the people believe in laughter, they believe in food, they believe in family. And more than anything, their culture is based around like it takes a village to raise a child. And so like their children are the most important thing. And I loved that. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna go on this trip. And so I ended up being able to go several years in a row. And actually, separately, my husband was also going on those trips. And we ultimately chose Jamaica to get married.
Oh,
Yes, it was such full circle. So Jamaica just like again, it's like magic. The way that they view life is magic. And so to be able to provide a service but then also like learn from them like how can I just care less about things that don't matter that are materialistic and so if you're ever lost find a good Jamaican soul and they will guide you back.
oh, I love it. So I've been to Jamaica, I think 4 times just in the past, 10 years. I believe we've been about 4 times. And I agree with you completely. The culture, the people, just how like polite they are every time, you interact with them and the food. I mean, it's so
Yeah.
colorful, vibrant. Yeah. And we were there for a dental event, but we one time brought our kids and actually rented like a Airbnb and stayed there with them and just had our own little like spot. And it was just like we were transplanted into another world for sure.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, love it.
That's awesome. So when did you realize, like segueing to you, graduating from dental school and my gosh, which, it's so funny. My son right now is a bio major and he got through OChem and he's doing good. I
Poor
mean,
guy.
I think since he is on a pre-dental track, like I have this new appreciation for the education that dentists have to go through, and accomplish and achieve to be excellent clinicians. It is no small thing. It is a lot. But I want to talk to you about just the realization for you from, yes, you're going to be a great clinician, but let's go beyond that. Like, is there more? And thinking about the whole body and the whole person. And I kind of want to dig into that conversation with you. So What's something most people and even most dentists are getting wrong just about oral health today overall?
I don't know where in life, in history, and all the things that we've decided that the mouth is separate from the rest of the body. Luckily, we live in a time right now where that mindset is shifting a little bit and people are getting more focused on their overall health and longevity and how can I live a longer life, but also a life that builds and has more quality to it. And so I find that, especially with some of my patients, I mean, day to day, the conversations that I'm having, I think it's like a staggering, like 70% of people don't know that the types of bacteria, the vascularity that exists in the mouth can essentially cause or help diagnose or help hint at other major issues in the rest of the body. There's like 23 major preventable or at least identifiable diseases that can be found in some sort of stage in the mouth. And if it starts there, or you can identify in early stages in the mouth, like why are we not paying more attention to that? Why are we not understanding that, if you were to get a nosebleed, you wouldn't be like, oh, that's normal. Or if your arm was swelling up, like you wouldn't think that's normal. But somehow, when it comes to the mouth, we just don't connect the two, right? Like a little gum bleeding is little. If your breath constantly has like a different smell to it, like we're not running around. If you were to like smell a wound and it smelled
Mm,
weird to you, you
yeah,
would immediately be like, I need to go to the doctor.
yeah.
And so it's like this disconnect that I'm seeing with patients and with people in general that it's like heartbreaking. I had a patient in the other day a very young patient who was in college and he came in and he's just came in because he like had a filling or something that was bothering him. And he's like, I've always had these like sores in my mouth. And he's like talking about all this stuff. And I'm like, looking at him, I'm like for years? And he's like, yeah. And I just like kind of deal with it. And they're very painful. He has these horribly painful ulcers. And
Oh,
I'm like, you need to go get your blood drawn. Like you probably have some sort of autoimmune thing. Anyway, fast forward, turns out like he had had some early stages of Crohn's disease and
mm,
it had started and manifested in his mouth, but like he had never thought like, oh, let me go get my blood drawn. He just thought like, oh, maybe they were just like stress ulcers or, and it's like there's just so much you can read and understand in the mouth that we're not picking up. And it's a huge hole in healthcare. And I really like it's my absolute passion, even with women, like
yeah.
the amount of suffering we put ourselves through menstrual cycles, then to menopause, then perimenopause, then it like all the things that we put ourselves through that like are maintainable and identifiable through saliva tests, through blood work that we can kind of connect the dots. And so yeah, I'm immensely shocked by the lack of well, and I guess it's up to us, right? Like that's what dentists should be doing, what healthcare providers should be doing is helping patients understand and educating as best as we can that
Yeah.
this is something you should take seriously and inflammation is not something to take lightly in the body. It definitely can cause some serious domino effect in the body.
Yeah. When you use the word longevity and how you talk about dentistry, unpack that for us. Like, what does longevity actually have to do with your health?
Sure. So, it's funny when you if you were to ask somebody if I could let you switch lives with Warren Buffett, but you would have to be his age and his whatever, like, but you'd be a billionaire. It's like most people probably wouldn't switch lives because that would limit the amount of time that they have. And when we think about things and the materialistic things, when it comes to health, whenever health is at question, at the fear, it always goes above everything else. And so, when we talk about longevity, there are indicators in the body to which you can make the decision today to change and alter your life, right? Like, let's keep it very elementary, very basic. If I told you that brushing and flossing alone, just those two things, doing at least brushing twice a day and at least flossing once a day would mean that you could likely prevent or at minimum decrease the chances of having heart disease or having Alzheimer's, especially if it runs in your family. Like, would you not just take that extra step for that quality, right? Like in 10 years from now, where do you see yourself? Well, I certainly don't see myself being ill in a bed somewhere. And so what am I doing today at my youngest self
Yeah.
to increase the quality of my life? And so to me, ultimately, longevity is about you can only start now, right? You can't go backwards, but you can assess your body now. And we live in an incredible time in healthcare where like we have markers for things. They're very easy. I mean, I can literally have a patient spit into a cup and I can tell them their chances of having certain diseases and outline them or tell them like, yeah, you have this virus and these are the things that you can do to decrease your chances of having long-term rheumatoid arthritis
Wow.
or, there's so much that you can dive into. And so to me, longevity is about assessing where you are today, deciding that you are going to, make the right decisions for yourself, as simple as brushing and flossing, and then moving forward and making the right decisions that will ultimately set you up to have the truest quality of life that you can have. And
I
that
love
comes with
that.
health.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I actually this past weekend just celebrated my 50th birthday. So
Yeah, happy birthday, by
yeah,
the way.
thank
I
you.
loved all your posts.
Thanks. It was, yeah, a super special weekend, but it also has made me like really reflective. I just
Mhm.
turned 50. When you're in your 20s, you never think you're going to get there. And everybody who's 50 is so old, right? But it
Sure.
does, it makes you reflect, back. It also makes me really, it's made me really evaluate what are all of the things that I'm doing, like I have celiac, I have like, all kinds of a lot of people have a lot of stuff, right? Most people have stuff they've got to work on and deal with. But those foundational things that are going to get me even to maybe even a better place of health in the next 10 years are very front of mind for me because I did just cross a milestone. And I think we feel often like when we're younger that we're just invincible and we live like that. And then maybe
Mhm.
we don't, develop some of those habits that are so critical and they're foundational, like you're sharing.
Yeah, I think there's such a sweetness to like when you hit those milestones and you're reflecting back and you look at all those things and you think to yourself like, okay, I'm 50, this is a milestone, what's next and where do I see myself? And I mean, I really adore your family and I love what you guys do and the messages and the more and more I've learned about you and your mission and it's like you're doing incredible things. And I seriously, people can only hope that at 50, at
Oh.
your where you are at your milestone, that like we will be at that milestone. So I'm overly impressed by what you guys are accomplishing.
Gosh, thank you. That was very
Yeah,
sweet.
I mean it. I really do mean
Aw.
it. You guys are awesome. The
Um,
Scots.
oh, you're awesome. Well, tell me, do you have like a favorite saliva test? I know that I have a friend who just has this whole incredible company and product that she just launched and released, and it's becoming it's becoming a bigger part of this conversation, those testing kits and making them more accessible to just like your average person.
Yeah, and actually, in our office, we charge what they charge us. Like, we don't put extra fees on it because I'm like, I want my patient to just take the test
Yeah,
if they can take the test.
yeah.
I have actually used a couple. I'll be honest, there's not really one that I love more than the others. And please send me your friends' info because I'm always looking for something else. I would just say that there's like certain markers that it needs to hit. So for example, we have the mouth is super vascular. So that means that you ton of blood supply there. And so things are easily brought to and from the mouth. And it also has a massive amount of like 80 million bacteria in your mouth. So there's good ones, there's bad ones. And what I'm looking for is there are markers for certain viruses. For example, Epstein-Barr virus, right? That there are markers that you can read for. But then more importantly, like where do you stand on, so like there's red complexes, orange, which are the not so great ones. And so you can have this proliferation, this increase of those types of bacterias. And they tend to be deeply correlated with not only the diseases, but at a foundational base inflammation. And so when I look for those saliva tests, I want to see like, is it going to test for these specific bacteria, PG, AA? Is
Okay.
it going to give me the breakdown? And if it does, you know, I don't always follow those saliva. They'll send you like an algorithm of what you can do. Some of them will say, you know, antibiotics. Some of them will say, but for me, like I'm considering your oral gut microbiome. Like I
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that I'm not just going to throw a bunch of antibiotics at you, and then it takes you 8 months to bounce back from those antibiotics. So the biggest thing is you want to look for a test that's going to give you markers of any potential biomarkers of certain viruses that you can have. But even above that would be, is it showing me the types of bacteria that live and have overgrown in your mouth? Because even the good bacteria, when there's too much, they
Mm-hmm.
turn into not great bacteria. Yeah.
Interesting. My goodness. Wow.
Yeah. Hmm.
Well, so our friend, I don't know if you know Dr. Tina Saw, and she's launched Oral Genome. And
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, she's
Oh,
just
cool.
a wonderful human and entrepreneur and just like scientist, innovator with all of that. And that's our passion. And I think it's just going to I know it's going to be life-changing for so many people. And it's so important that new products are just, like that are being created, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. The innovators out there are um it's really cool to see people who are doing things out of passion and not just out of some sort of economical gain. When
Yeah.
you hear stuff like that, you're like, I know that that started with a story or
Yes.
a moment of like an epiphany of I need to help people and this could be solved by X. So that's amazing. Yeah, that's really, really cool.
What's the most surprising thing you've ever seen in a patient's mouth that like kind of signaled? I know you told the one story. Was there anything else besides the sores?
I'll be honest, like there's that happens on like a weekly basis. One of the primary things that we kind of talked about a little bit is like premenopausal, perimenopausal, and postmenopausal patients that I see. Like a lot of the women I talk to, they'll like talk about like this dryness in their mouth, or like
Yeah.
they'll say like certain tastes in their mouth. There's like so many different, and I always signal to them like you need to go get your estrogen and progesterone levels tested,
Yep.
like and your testosterone. Like women don't understand how important it is that you have a good well balance. Like it's going to help with those hot flashes, it's going to help with all these like issues that you're seeing specifically in the mouth. I would say it's just such a mix, like anywhere from even like externally on skin. I've caught skin cancer before, oral cancer. And oral cancer is scary because
Yeah.
it does not have a good mortality rate after a certain stage. It's super, super important that dentists, and I wish more of my colleagues would take it seriously, that they do those oral cancer examinations. Like every time you're seen by a doctor for an exam, they should be checking the lymph nodes on your around your neck. I
Hmm.
actually diagnosed or pre-diagnosed. I didn't diagnose, but I had a patient who had Hodgkin's. And so they came in and I'm like, you know, did you notice this? And he's like, yeah, I don't think it's a big thing. Went in and he called me the next week and was like, I can't believe it. So like there are so many different things. Anything near the tongue, especially on the sides of the tongue, anything that's not healing within 2 weeks is like high concern. You should definitely be seeing someone about it, following up, and taking the right steps to make sure that you're taking good care of yourself.
We have at Studio 88, have a team of about 50 millennials and Gen Zers. And
Mhm.
sometimes I am not sure. I'm like, are you doing your hygiene appointments? Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'll hear like a few jokes like they think flossing is funny. And I'm like, no, no, there's nothing funny about it at all. And then I get on them. I'm like, we work in dentistry. You have to floss and brush and do all the things and get your electric toothbrush and like you've got to create routines. And so is there anything that we could do that might help motivate them to take their oral health, like a little bit more seriously, like younger generation?
Yeah, so this is like a thing that I joke about, but I'm really serious about it. I say to patients all the time, I'm like, if they'll say like, oh, I don't really floss. Like flossing is it's a big deal, right? It's like that is how you get underneath your gums, and that's the easiest way to clean underneath your gums. So I'll say like, if you don't regularly floss, I just even if you regularly floss, like 3 times a week. I want you to take your floss between your teeth, and just smell the floss.
Oh.
And tell me that it doesn't smell terrible. And if it smells terrible, it's because of those red complexes. I mean, I used to work in a lab where we would grow that bacteria because we
Oh.
wanted to test it. And I'm telling you, like, we would open the incubator and it would just
Hmm.
smell like bad breath. It was horrible. But that is the smell of red complex that causes inflammation, causes all
Okay.
those issues. So I say, like,
Okay.
forget about the science, forget
Yeah.
about all that. Like, let's just talk about the basics of your breath stinks and how can I prove it to you? You're gonna go ahead and just floss between your teeth, and like anyone who's near you can smell that. And so
Yeah.
that's like at a lower
That's awesome.
motivation. Yeah, at a higher, I mean, you just gotta ask, like, where do you see yourself in 10 years from now? Like, do you want to have that quality of life? And if you're living out that life, to your point about 50 being a milestone, I mean, there are things that can happen between, whatever age, whether you're Gen Z or beyond, that can fundamentally change your health. So it can be as simple as brushing your teeth and smelling your floss. So I hope that helps.
It's amazing. Since you are like the Reels and TikTok queen, I bet you probably already have some something. I'm sure you produced some content on flossing and maybe
Mhm.
made it funny or made it like, hey, don't be an idiot. You need to floss. So I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna show it to our team. I'll be like, guess who I
I
just
did a video
podcasted
about
with?
the smelling, yeah, the
Did you?
smelling
Okay.
and I really do tell the Gen Zers in our patients, I
Yeah.
tell them all the time, like, I know like you think it's dumb, but I just want you to just smell it one time and tell me that you're not gonna start flossing because like it just smells so bad.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I'm
Yeah.
going to chat for a minute just about the art of the smile. And what do you do when someone comes in, a patient comes in wanting perfect teeth? How does that conversation kind of begin? And how do you walk them through kind of what's achievable, what's going to be helpful for their goals?
Yeah, for sure. So I do a lot of cosmetics. And so usually my patients who are seeking perfection want things like veneers or bonding or, some sort of mix of that. And my job is to educate them in understanding that, usually a functional smile is going to be the most beautiful smile. And there are limitations, right? Like not everyone's going to look like Margot Robbie. And like she just has a very specific smile and her teeth match her and they are made for her. And the key to anything aesthetic and anything perfect is nature, right? The way nature made you is generally probably the most beautiful version of what it is, what looks best on you. And so if you bring in pictures of other celebrities, like sure, that's helpful, but ultimately what is beautiful is going to be what matches you and how we can make you look right. And I always say this too. I'm like, when you go out and you see something beautiful, it's usually nature and like what makes it beautiful. It's not like that it's this perfect mountain. It's that it's got these ebbs and flows and it's got a certain texture to it, a certain angle to it, the way the light hits it. And so I say like the perfection comes from those imperfections. What makes it beautiful is that it matches you. And so that's a really difficult conversation at first, but then conceptually it's like, oh yeah, like you're right. I don't like the way that looks, or that looks silly on me, or and there are dentists out there that their style is to have like that Hollywood look.
Mhm.
Um, I just won't see those patients because we'll never see eye to eye and they won't be able to trust me and I can't trust them.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
interesting. Because there are the dentists and the practices and groups that they produce those. They're just very, very highly cosmetic. You can just tell that,
Yeah.
you've had your,
They were done.
they were done. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I don't know if maybe some people don't care. I would say on the whole, people probably prefer to have more of a like natural, customized smile where it's not like obvious.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the general consensus in like society now is like shifting towards like that more natural look because even fillers now, way less patients are like a lot of them are getting their fillers dissolved in their lips and things aren't as loud. People like that beautiful elegance. And honestly, I feel like a lot of generations make fun of the Gen Zers, but I feel like they have made it acceptable to be like who you are
Yeah.
naturally, right? Less
Yeah.
makeup, less loudness. Like their generation, the girls wear baggier clothes, which like, I wore skinny jeans and I was like, I thought it was like, oh, you have to show things off. And it's like, no, like being soft and elegant and less is more. And so
Yeah.
I think that this is a really great time for cosmetics because it's like nature is what's beautiful.
Mm, I love that. I do believe there's like this new femininity that has been growing just among just
Mhm.
trends with even fashion and among like you're saying Gen Zers. I've got two, my daughter and her baggy clothes. I'm like, honey, what is happening? I want to I can't see you wearing like a tent. But yeah, those skinny jean days, I think they're probably gone.
Yeah, I know. I think they tried to bring it back, but it didn't stick.
Yeah, yeah. I do. I like the wide leg. I like the like
Why,
high
yeah.
rise wide leg, and then you can wear a heel or whatever. I'm really happy. I hope those stay for a while.
Yeah, me too. Me too. The
Yeah.
heels or the booties, depending on like what time of the year it is. Yeah, it's great.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so I want to chat with you. I'm excited to talk to you about your brand
Yeah.
because we have so much fun supporting brands at Studio 88. And it's just, I'm so impressed by your brand and how much thought and intention and time that you have put into it. It's obvious. There are dentists watching you right now that they want what you built. The following, your presenter like skills and how funny you are. And what is the one thing that you would say to a clinician or doctor who's sitting on the sideline and they're a dentist and maybe they're a little bit nervous to kind of launch out and get into that personal brand space?
It is very hard to put on your blinds and say, like, I don't care who's watching. I don't care how things play out, but I'm gonna put myself out there. There's like a sense of vulnerability with it, right? Like you're sharing or over feel like you're oversharing or who cares about my story? But the reality is that like doing is the only way to get started and you can plan and plan and plan and do all these things, but you have to put yourself in a place of like if I don't do this now, in a year from now, I'm going to be so upset that I'm in the same place I was last year. And I've put myself in that situation so many times. And I've thought like, oh, if I just started, like I would be in such a better place than I am, today. There's this story, and I don't think it's like a real study that they did, but basically the idea was that there's a professor at a university and he's doing a study and he splits his class into group one and group two. Group one is supposed to make the perfect pot, like a pot that you plant things in. And then the other group is supposed to make 50 pounds worth of pots. And the funny thing of all that was that the perfect pot was found more times in group two because they were constantly recreating. The quantity created quality. And so like if you're trying to create a brand, you're putting yourself out there, like you're not going to get it right. Like that perfect pot is never going to be there the first time. So like get your prototype out fast, get your videos out fast, and in the beginning content is king, and then you will find like where you lie in that and how much you want to share and what do you want to share, like is this who your audience is, like do you enjoy speaking to colleagues more online, do you want to be in like technology AI space more, so like maybe LinkedIn is like where you should be. And it's all trial and error. And I think the biggest mistake that most people who want to build a brand is like they're too scared to just start. And like if you never take that extra step and just like realize like the people who are going to hate on you and like judge you and you feel like, oh, like at my office they're going to make fun of me, it's like it doesn't matter because like one day you're going to be sitting in some seat or at some table or on some first class flight to somewhere and you're going to be like, wow, if I hadn't done X, I would have never landed this spot right here. Being okay to fail is probably one of the most productive ways of building a brand. Truly, like it's scary, but that's it.
That's so good. So, how many years have you been building Dentara? And what was the content that really like took off? And then was there anything that you, as you're trying content, like you're saying, just content's king, like get it out there, produce it. Was there anything that flopped? And how did you figure that out?
Yeah, I mean, all the things that you think are going to take off never really do. So I started back in 2018. So I was in my second year of dental school. To the idea of like, conquering your fears and all the things. Like I was just trying really hard to get super involved with the university. And I wasn't quite catching like that, like electric feeling of like, this is where I belong or this is what I want to be doing. And TikTok, Instagram was like kind of a thing then, but not fully, and definitely not videos. When it started to build up, I'm like, this is something, and maybe this is where I need to think. Like, I need to stop putting myself in these four walls of this building and think, like, what does me look like when I leave this place, and how can I prepare for that? And so that's where like the idea of branding myself a little bit, and thinking that a little bit more forward. And like you put content out and a lot of it flops, like most of it flops. Um, and I realized that a lot of the things that were doing well on my page were like when I was like showing more personality. So like the videos where I'm goofing around with patients or making fun of myself or like the bloopers, right? Like it was like an authentic version, just the most real version of me. And then I
Yeah.
realized, well, yeah, like if I were to see someone online and I met them in person and thought like, ooh, that person's not like they are online, that would suck.
Yeah.
Um, and the dangerous thing too is like sometimes you're worried like what if people don't like who I am? And but at the
Mm.
end of the day, there's groups for everybody. I'm
Yeah.
not everybody's cup of tea in the office. I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea online. And I have to be okay with that. And that's the reality of putting yourself out there. So yeah, it's a you just got to keep going. And the things that do really well sometimes do really well for a short period of time, and then you have to get creative again and start all over. So
How do
yeah.
you produce so much content? Like, do you have a team? Do you have support that helps you? Because you are putting a lot out there.
Thank you for saying that. I feel like I have been slacking a lot just because like I've been working on a lot of side projects and doing stuff like that. Generally, I have basically, if it's on my page, it's generally just produced by me, my camera, me by myself. I have tons of little trinkets that I use like to put cameras in certain places, things like that. The mass productions are more with like working with some of like the things I do outside of the office, whether it's for Ignite DDS or MedPro, where we have like a professional setup and I'm mic'd up and have that content. But it's about like making time for it, like if it's a priority for you and
Yeah.
understanding how important it is. And then knowing things like TikTok, like it doesn't really matter where or how, or like the higher production videos don't do well.
Yeah.
So like in my car, I'll be listening to a podcast and it'll remind me of someone, or I have a tough day at work and I'm just like, let me just record this. And if I hate it, fine. If I love it, then I post it. I recently had a content and I almost swear I would never even talk about it because I took it off my page, but it is what it is, just reality of things.
Yeah.
I had posted, like I'd had a bunch of heartfelt videos before it. And then the next video I posted was like I was sitting on an airplane and I'm like, I have always been very smell sensitive and I could smell someone's like perio and like
Oh,
their breath. Like I could smell it in the airplane. And so I made like it was supposed to be like a funny video. Like it was just supposed to be like a lighthearted, like, hey, like you should brush and floss your teeth before you get on an airplane because people can smell it. And people were so upset. They were like,
oh,
it's like you're so judgmental and you're this and I was like, guys, it was meant to like encourage you and like kind of be funny. So I mean, like the things that you think are gonna, and it did like I had so many views, so many comments, and like yes, the controversial things are like what like helps you like build your page, but that's not the image that I was trying to portray. So I was like, delete, like take this off. Like I did not mean to hurt anybody's feelings. So you just got to be careful. I mean, like people are sensitive. There's a limit to what,
Yeah,
you just got to learn to either be okay with it. If I didn't think I was offending patients, I probably would have kept it there. But I was like, yeah, this probably isn't settling well with somebody who's like looking for a dentist who does care about their oral health and does want them to succeed. So I took it
sure.
down.
But I mean,
But
however, planes and smells, they're so
yeah,
just, I am so sensitive to smell and I have the same issue. And I'm like, whether it's food or, someone's feet or whatever, planes are
yeah,
just, yeah,
a
like
hot box of just smells.
they are coming all over. It's just a whole thing. Well, I'm 100% confident. If I did see your TikTok, I would die laughing. So
Thank you.
yeah. So tell me about your brand partnership with Crest. I thought that was super cool. Has that been a lot of fun?
It's so much fun. What I like about working with Crest and Oral-B together, they do a lot of research. They are very like A to Z. They look through everything. And their professionalism is like top tier when it comes to like their content, what they want. Their image of what they are as a company is very clear, and I respect that a lot. And they've been on the market for a long time. They don't just jump to the next fad because it's a fad. They do their research, their science, their studies. And I actually my first like international brand trip that I went on was with Oral-B. And you hear about companies and the studies that they do. And actually, when I was living in Cincinnati, P&G is based in Cincinnati, in the US. And so like I would meet a lot of people that worked on the oral health division. And then when I went to Germany, it was incredible to see like their level of detail and putting in their research and the time, and it like made me more like proud to be part of like their message that they're
Yeah,
trying to show patients like. And I really do use their toothbrush every single day. Like I really do believe in their science, and I do think that it helps increase the oral health. So yeah, that I love Crest. I think they're a great company, and I think they're doing a really good job. And the good thing is they're always open to discussion about like how to improve their products and what they can do to move the needle a little bit.
that's awesome. You get to see kind of their behind the scenes and how they function, and then it just even solidifies your trust with them because of their high level
Yeah,
of professionalism. And yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's super important. There's so many brands out there
yeah,
that are spewing nonsense, and you're
yeah,
just like,
great,
how could you direct people in such a horrible way? So yeah,
makes
it's
it
good to work with
incredible.
brands that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Something I think that gets overlooked in the conversation around building a brand is actually what it costs to be visible. And one of the most vulnerable things of visible forms of visibility is really taking the stage, in my opinion. I think standing in front of the room and commanding it is like, whoa, I know it is for me. So that's something I'd love to chat with you about. You mentioned to me earlier that you used to be terrified of public speaking, and yet I know that you were just recently at one of dentistry's biggest events, the Hinman meeting, their annual meeting. I was there too. It was my first time being there too. And so you're terrified of public speaking, and yet you said yes to one of the biggest dental society meetings. How did that happen?
Like the idea of like conquering fear, right? So, like I said before, I went to an art school, and when I first started at the art school, I was doing like stage theater stuff. And like it was a lot of like put yourself on the spot, make yourself nervous, make yourself really uncomfortable. And as I got older, I really recognized that the more I put myself in uncomfortable situations, the more I could feel myself like physically, emotionally, mentally, like jump to that next stage of like who I wanted to be. And so I tell myself every year that like if I do something that feels really hard, like if it's one event or a series of events, and public speaking is one of them, like I enjoy it once it's done. Like once it's done and I got the outcome that I was looking for, the feeling that I wanted the audience to feel with what I had to say and give, then I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I did that. But it's like the lead up to, I mean, like I don't sleep for days before
Oh,
leading
yeah.
up. Like Inman, I'm like, I mean, like, to your point, like I'm standing next to people that I like read their papers and I've like listened to their lectures since I was like 19. And
Oh,
then to see them on stage or like to have my name like right next to theirs or whatever, it's a super intimidating environment. And like Hinman was like above and beyond. Like their Southern hospitality was like unmatched. So I really, really enjoyed that experience. But on top of that, it was just like a I mean, even watching you and your husband, like when you guys speak, like the talking about wine and how you like bring in like all these different aspects of like life and connect in that ability to storytell. It's such an impressive skill. And the inspiration and motivation I've had to do things based off of someone else's ability to tell a story in front of an audience has really elevated my way of thinking and pushed me to want to keep public speaking. And it's like it's a skill you have to keep doing because if you don't, you lose that sharpness and you lose the ability to like learn how to connect with an audience. And sometimes what you think is going to work really, really well is not. And you have to be able to like shift the conversation live on stage versus like reels where I can cut whatever I want in and out. But having that live audience creates a little challenge that I don't always love, but I ultimately look for it. I don't know. Something's wrong with me, I guess.
Brene Brown, in her latest book, Strong Grounds, she mentions that courage and fear are not mutually exclusive. And that just hit me. I love that sentiment so much because most of us
Yeah.
feel brave and afraid at the same exact time. And there's not
Yeah.
really a single act of courage that doesn't require vulnerability first. And that really landed for me personally, professionally, to, when you're, whether you're taking the stage or you are overcoming something in a partnership or relationship, or something's going on in your practice or with our team. I think every day we are faced with a moment or opportunity to be courageous. And also there's that vulnerable side where if we choose vulnerability, it means that we don't have everything figured out and we're possibly concerned, or we're opening up maybe about a fear. So how does that land with you when you kind of consider both of those, feeling both of those at the same time?
I think you've said that perfectly. It's the giving yourself the opportunity to be scared and fearful of what's happening next is like the greatest gift you can give yourself, right? Like I was listening to a podcast the other day, Diary of a CEO, and gosh, I'm forgetting who was on the show, but he said, if you want to punch in a higher weight class, right? Like you want to get to that next step, get ready to get a big spoon and get ready to eat a bunch of crap, and he said a little bit more vulgar than that. But basically, the idea being that like you have to keep like putting yourself in these difficult situations if you want some sort of great outcome to happen. Like have the courage to do the hard thing and have the courage and be okay with it failing because ultimately, again, going back to the at first it's going to be quantity, but that quantity is what's going to allow you to build that quality and that's a hard thing to take on as a person. Like yeah, I want to have the courage, I want to be that strong person, but man, am I scared to feel that feeling of failure. But man, if you're somebody who can fail fast, consider yourself blessed because it is great to be in a position where if something's not working, let it fail fast so that you can move on to the next stage or the next prototype or the next opportunity. So yeah, I completely agree. And your sentiment of that, I think that applies to every stage of your life and every new thing that happens. And especially as women, like we're at a weird place where we've jokingly have allowed society to make us think like, oh, we should go to work and do all the things and like staying home's not enough. And it's like there's all these like pressures of what should be, but like you get to use your courage and your fears to create whatever outcome you want. Don't take that lightly. This is like one life we live.
And those stretches are how we grow.
Hmm.
If like you're saying, and I have to say this, we need more women leaders and advocates stepping onto stages in dentistry. They need to be all over. And so I am so proud of you, even though it's not my place to be, but I'm so proud of you just being a woman, in the profession or being alongside, the profession, that you've taken the stage and you've said yes to something that was, yeah, absolutely. There's fear of failure, and you have moments where you're like, is the audience going to embrace that my voice or message and all of that? But you keep putting yourself out there, and I think that's the important thing. Our voice and message and the passion, it's within us for a reason, and it's meant to be shared. And you're such an advocate for longevity and wholeness and wellness, right, within dentistry. And so those things are, they're life changing, they're life saving, especially since you work with, just the younger, Gen Zers and this younger upcoming population of young people.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. And honestly, coming from you means the world. I
Oh,
know that you're saying it like you're not like a huge face, and that you guys are not up and coming. You are here, and like just what you're doing for dentistry is amazing, and giving people the platform to have that conversation. I mean, this podcast alone. And I've said this to you before, but like the preparedness of you understanding your guest and
oh,
allowing us to have that opportunity to have this conversation like this. These are where these conversations happen and spread, and we have like this amazing opportunity to spread the word, and you've given women the platform to do that. So thank you. Like it means the world.
absolutely. My gosh, it's such an honor to chat with you. And when more women come together, powerful things happen in our profession. And there's more and more women going into dental school. And so that whole trend cannot be ignored. And they need
Yeah.
mentors and coaches and, advocates and people ahead of them to kind of wrap their arms around them, remind them that you're not alone. This is hard, but you can do it. This is like perfect segue. We've talked about building something remarkable and successful within, your personal brand. And that anything, if you build anything successful or thriving, it always comes with a big dose of resilience. And I just was curious, was there a season or, in your career or life where you kind of just tested everything that you knew about yourself?
Yeah. I would say probably the single most impactful event was losing my mom. It was a really hard time in my life. I was 20. I was in college. My mom was the matriarch of our family, and very much so a powerful force in my life. Like a very, and a lot of people are lucky to have great relationships with their moms, especially women. And to your point about like women getting together and empowering each other is the most powerful, impactful way to develop as a woman and make things happen. And I deeply had that with my mom. She unfortunately, and talking about longevity, I mean, all of this ties back to her because I think about my life. I'm 32. She was 42 when she was diagnosed with cancer, with breast cancer. And then she was in and out of remission for 10 years and ultimately passed when she was 53. So I think to myself, like at this age, if I was living the path she was living, I would already be halfway through my life. And that's a huge driving force for me. And when I lost her when I was 20, I mean, it's like I was an adult, but I was still very, very kind of dependent on her strength to give me the confidence that I needed and that I was seeking. Um, but I had a really wonderful conversation with her just like weeks before she passed. And, she sat me down. She said, you and I both know what's coming, and it is up to you. It's your destiny to build a life that you dream of. And like the only way to do that is to push through what's about to happen. And she's like, I know it's going to be hard for you. I know that all these things are going to happen and you're going to have to stand on your own 2 feet. But like ultimately, our family needs someone to be there for them, and you have to be that person. And like the weight of that responsibility was a lot for a 20-year-old, but I felt what she meant by it. It wasn't that my family couldn't survive on their own or that they couldn't do it without me. It was that like her being the leader of the family is the reason why I felt like I could make it to the next stage. It was the reason why my brother could make it to the next stage. And so if I took her position and made it better and did better for everyone, then like I was succeeding and I was doing what my ultimate goal is, which is to be there for my family. And so 20 was hard, and it was the reality of like, okay, it's still to this day, I'm like, I don't know how I did some of the things I did. I was like working two jobs. I was like busting my butt. I was trying so hard to like push myself to get into dental school. So I'm like, that is the end goal. That is where I need to be. Once I get there and I can push through that, then I know I can take care of my family for the rest of my life, and I will always have that independence, which is what I think she ultimately was trying to tell me,
Yeah.
is that put yourself in a position where like it's great to have support of other people. Like I said, my husband is my rock. But I know and he knows like if there was a day where we didn't have each other, we could survive without each other. It would just be a matter of choosing each other every day. And so it's been full circle for me. It's put my whole life into perspective, both personally, professionally, and for the women in my life. Like I will do anything. When you're on my team, like my mom was like such a loyal and kind person, and she was so good at presenting herself in the most. My mom had a lot of class. Like there was just something very classy about her. Like even if she didn't like you, you would never know because there was so much elegance behind her. And I strive to be at that level of class that she was. So I know that was a long-winded story, but she really like mothers play such an important role.
Yeah.
And it is heartbreaking to see people who don't have relationships with their moms or do and have lost their moms, or like don't take those things for granted. Because we only have each other, and
Yeah.
women really understand each other in levels that like you cannot describe in words.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you so much for sharing a part of your story that's like beautiful and yet very hard. I mean, and she passed the torch to you. I just find that, like to carry on like a piece of her legacy, it's in you, which I think is just, yeah, extraordinary.
It's a motivator for sure. She's a big reason why some days I'm like, "Ugh, I could be doing less."
Yeah.
But really I take it with a lot of pride, and yeah, it's I'm a lucky girl, and I am very grateful. I would choose her if I had the choice. I would choose her as my mom over and over in every lifetime, because she has really made me become who I am today.
Well, as we wrap up here, I just would love to leave the audience of women listening with just a couple last thoughts from you. Can you think of a woman in dentistry right now who is doing something that makes you feel proud?
There are so many.
I know.
I'm gonna list a couple, more than a couple probably, but and I'll explain why I kind of group them all together. But I mean, I love like Joyce the dentist, Sasha, Dr. Connie, Dr. Ellie, who's in Teeth Matters, Dr. Dixon, Dr. Andy with APA. They're all super, super authentically themselves, like in every aspect of their lives. And I met some of them, not met some of them, talked with some of them, online, Dr. Tanya, Dr. Shaggy. Like I just think that they are all really, really aware that there's enough for everybody to eat. And that the more we encourage each other, like you were saying before, the more we join forces, the more Melanie, who she and I were classmates, like, it's like you have to understand that like it's okay if somebody's doing the same thing as you. But if you show up authentically, if you are true to yourself, like you are going to do well. And that's something to admire above all. Like just to be in a room with any of them or have a conversation or be on the same podcast as them or something like that. It's like that to me is the ultimate thing to admire, is that they are able to show up authentically. Their patients know it, they know it, and they're true to who they are because they understand that there's enough room for all of us
Yeah.
to 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 swim in this water, to be in
Yeah.
this pond.
Yes.
Yeah. I
Absolutely.
can't give you one. There's really like there, and I'm
I
definitely
love that.
forgetting like so many other of the women that I met. I met Carla, Dr. Carla Soto the other couple weeks ago, and she and I had met like online maybe like years ago, and then we finally met in person. It was like the most natural introduction because she's just who she is. Like there's no denying who she is as a person, as a woman, as a mom, as a clinician, and that is powerful. That is so powerful.
Well, and it's incredible to be around other powerful women who are really stepping into their lanes and feel confident because it rubs off on all of us. When you're around that type of energy, all of a sudden, I don't know, I find myself when I'm around other confident women, my insecurities go down and my
Yeah.
security and self-confidence goes up, which is brilliant. It's amazing. So the whole like dog eats dog world or just like that whole competitive vibe, it's just unnecessary. There's like, as you're saying, there's enough for all of us, and we're stronger and better together. And it's just more fun. I mean, women
Yeah.
are, I think it's so fun to have other powerful women in your life as friends.
Totally. And it's just like not a level of thinking that we need to be at. Like we're at a high energy, high level thinking. We're high achievers. And so like there is so much more room. It might be 5% at the top or the 1% at the top, but that 1% can be very big. And it's like we just miss that. Like sometimes I've been in scenarios where I'm like, and sometimes I've been that person. Like I can remember times where I was like, man, I could have handled that situation a little bit better. Like was it envy that I was feeling? Was it jealousy I was feeling? And then I got to pull myself back and be like, well, that was like not productive for anybody. It wasn't productive for me. It wasn't productive for her. It wasn't productive for the group. And then the next time you show up, you want to show up a better version of yourself because like you believe in the mission of being a woman, being successful, and elevating each other because that's what makes you more powerful. Not the idea that there's like, wow, the one female CEO. It's like there should be a bunch of female
Right.
CEOs because
Yes.
we can run it and we know how to do it. And there can be men too. It's not that they shouldn't be, but like if somebody's qualified, they're qualified and it shouldn't matter.
Absolutely. Last thing is, what would you say to that younger version of yourself stepping out of dental school today? What words of wisdom would you share with her?
I would share with her one, the same thing we talked about before, just do it. Stop waiting for that perfect moment. Stop waiting for the perfect plan. Take that step. Be scared. It's going to be okay. And two, keep building the life that the every decade ahead of you, version ahead of you would be so proud of. I would like to think that the 20-year-old me who was really scared and really unsure if I was capable of stepping into where I am today, I think she would be pretty excited and in awe of the world that I have created now. And I only was able to do that because of the support of the people around me and because of the ability to be okay with being scared. Just lean into that fear as often as you can. It's life changing. It really is life changing.
Courage and fear. That's beautiful.
Yeah, courage
Beautiful way
and
to wrap
fear.
it up. Oh, thank you, Dr. Tara, so much just for being my guest and my new friend. We've known each other for a few years, but it's super great to just connect with you on a deeper level and get to know you and your story. And our audience, I know, will be totally engaging with this episode, and I'm so excited to share it with them. What are the best places to follow you online? And I encourage everyone take out your phone right now and follow Dr. Tara because her stuff is awesome.
I appreciate that. Just Dentara. Look up Dentara. I pretty much use the same handle for everything. I'm always available. Message me. I have a deep passion for humanity and just meeting people. And so hit me up. I would love to have a conversation. And Joanna, thank you for setting a stage for truly like just a conversation that could have been buried under and never been had. You do it all the time, even when you guys are at conferences, when you guys are putting content out, like you are opening so many avenues for people like me to have these conversations. And I'm forever grateful, not only for this conversation, but for this friendship that's unfolding. You guys are an incredible company, and I'm so excited to see what's next.
I'm completely humbled and honored. So, I mean, honestly, you are busy and you've got a lot going on. So, thank you just for making time for this conversation. And I'm just excited to get the feedback from all of these awesome women that listen. And the whole goal of this, I started this podcast right after COVID, and I was like, whoa, There's too much negative toxicity going on. We need to make, like you're saying, create platforms and make space for connection, for relational conversations, and come together in a really human, authentic way. And I believe our
Yeah.
world and profession are better for it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, audience, just for listening to the Story Project podcast. That's a wrap. And just a gentle reminder that your story isn't finished, and we'll see you next time.